Hey everyone, welcome back to my Anthropology Journal podcast. This week was honestly one of the hardest ones to digest. We talked about whiteness, not white people, but the idea of whiteness, where it came from, how it got built, and why it still shapes so much of modern life. So, quick recap before I go deep. We learned that race isn't biological, it's something humans made up and then turned into law. Back in the 1600s, people weren't walking around saying they were white. They were English, Irish, Scottish, African, Powhatan, or Ndongo. Skin color wasn't destiny until money and power made it that way. After Bacon's rebellion, when poor Europeans and Africans fought side by side, the elites panicked. They realized unity was a threat, so they invented a new boundary: whiteness, a system where poor Europeans got a few privileges, enough to feel superior while Africans were permanently enslaved. That's where color became class, and class became control. What hit me most is how that one strategy, divide and rule, never really went away. Whiteness became the invisible rule book of modern society. It shaped who could own land, who could vote, who could marry, who counted as civilized. And when science rose, it didn't challenge that, it proved it. Anthropologists measured skulls, biologists drew racial hierarchies, churches preached that difference was divine order. It was all one network reinforcing a lie that light skin meant intelligence and control. By the 1800s, whiteness wasn't just a color, it was a membership card. It decided who got to be American, who could immigrate, even who counted as human in research. And every time the economy shifted, whiteness expanded to protect itself, adding new groups like Irish, Italians, and Jews who were once considered non white. It's wild that even inclusion became a tool to keep the system stable. Fast forward to now, and the language has changed, but the rules haven't disappeared. Whiteness is still the baseline that everything else gets compared to. It's in job interviews when someone's too ethnic. It's in classrooms where standard English means white English. It's in medicine when data for average bodies mostly means white bodies. That's the quiet power of a system that doesn't have to name itself anymore. This week, I went down a rabbit hole with Kim Tallbear, an indigenous scholar who studies how science and genomics still carry colonial logic. She talks about how even today, research on indigenous DNA is often done by white run institutions that decide who counts as authentic, like the Kennewick Man case. Scientists debated for decades whether ancient remains were really native, while tribes already knew the answer through culture and kinship. Tallbear points out that this obsession with proof, with genetics, repeats the same power dynamic from colonial times. It's science deciding who gets to exist, and it makes me realize that race isn't just history, it's a process that keeps updating through labs, databases, and algorithms. Think about it. We use technology that sorts people by risk, by worth, by pattern. Facial recognition, hiring software, even credit systems quietly reward traits linked to whiteness: skin tone, speech, zip code, last name. We tell ourselves it's neutral data, but the code inherits bias from history. So whiteness goes digital. At the same time, you see people online saying, I don't see color, but pretending not to see it just lets the system run unchecked. Tallbear and the others argue we have to name race and see its roots to move past it. It's like debugging code. You can't fix what you refuse to look at. And honestly, it made me check myself too. Whiteness doesn't just affect people who benefit from it, it shapes how everyone measures themselves. It sets the normal, so even people of color find themselves trying to sound or act neutral, which often means whiter. That's how deep this thing runs. It's psychological, not just political. What I take from this week is that whiteness isn't just history, it's infrastructure. It's in the laws, the algorithms, the classrooms, the hiring emails that start with "we value diversity" but end with the same results. Understanding that doesn't make me cynical, it makes me sharper. Because if something was built, it can be rebuilt. Tallbear said, science needs two kinds of change. Train researchers to work with indigenous and marginalized communities, not on them. And train more scientists from those communities to lead the research themselves. That's what unbuilding whiteness looks like. Redesigning who holds the mic. For me, anthropology isn't just about studying the past, it's about exposing the systems that still live inside the present. And whiteness, invisible, flexible, powerful, might be the oldest one still running. Thanks for listening. See you next week.